Today's video is based on a method that I learned at a workshop recently. And the method that they showed was you had two pieces of fabric that were similar size and contrasting fabric. And what I've decided to do is to try to convert this using scraps. So what I've got are two contrasting fabrics. So I've got a mixture of different oranges on the bottom, and you want to have the right sides facing up on both layers. Because these are, except for this one, they're all batik, the right side isn't really relevant, but I'll do it this way just to show you. So what you want to do is you want to have equal size strips based on the color. So the top layer, left-hand strip, needs to be the same width as the lower one. I've made these all, so it's around 16 inches wide. It's about 11.5 to 12 inches in height. And these match for this matching one below it. I hope that makes sense. I'm having a hard time trying to describe that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working from the left to the right. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making some wonky cut seams, and this will add to the finished look of the product. So taking the right hand seam in the first panel, and you want to make sure the upper and lower ones remain sandwiched together. You can pop a pin in the bottom if you want, just to keep them together, which I'll do right now. And then on this one, it doesn't hurt to have it somewhere as well, just so they don't move around too much. And what we want to do is we want to make a cut along this seam here, and these need to be overlapped because they are going to be sewn together. So by having these even on the bottom, we're going to overlap it by about 1/4 of an inch. You just want to make sure everything has an even amount overlapped. You can do 1/2 inch if you're more comfortable with that. And then what we're going to do is take a very sharp rotary cutter, and we're going to go up, and then we're going to just make a very, very wide curve, and then go back again, and then do another one. You don't want them to be too extreme because that will make them hard to sew together. So when you move them apart like that, you'll see that you do have some fabric that you'll be able to put into your discard pile. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the greens, and we're going to remove the pins. And we're actually going to move the lower one to the top and the top to the lower, like that. And you'll be matching up. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to sew this together, and then we're going to sew this together. And then once that's done, we're going to go over and we're going to do the same thing here. So we'll gently stack it on top with the, you want to alternate the colors. So again, we're going to be cutting here, and the green will stay here. And then when we go to do the next one, we'll overlap it. We'll do the cut, and the orange will end up on top. And we'll just move along with that. So I'll join you back once I've done that. When you go to join these together, take your time. You want to use a slightly shorter stitch length so that it doesn't gather on you. And if you have a narrow, like a zipper foot or an applique foot, or even a 1/4 inch foot, and just take your time doing that. And trust me, this will press nicely when it's all done. So I'm just going to show you, I have this first strip sewn together, and as you press it with an iron, it will naturally go to one side or the other, and you will see the gentle curve. When I was sewing this, I wanted to make sure I didn't end up with any puckers, but also when you're feeding it through the machine. So we'll put these together, how they're going to be sewn. See how they don't line up because we have the curve? Well, don't stress too much about that, because what you're going to do is you're going to start, and then the top one, you're just going to move it along. So pretend this is going through the sewing machine like this. And you're just going to lay this along as you're going along, and it will work itself through all the curves quite nicely. It is kind of a fun technique. If you're nervous about doing it curvy, you can leave it straight because the final effect will still be there. It just won't be as fun and adventurous. So I'll go ahead and do these and then I'll join you back here. Just showing you that I have the first 3 strips done. So that is what the top looks like. See, I've just got a gentle curve here. And then the layer below it looks like that. This one is more dramatic because of the contrast. I really like how this one's coming together. So what we're going to do is just continue. So again, you want to make sure that you're layering these together. You can keep them straight if you want. You just, as I said, you won't get this nice extra pattern going on. So if you want to keep it straight, you can switch them before you cut them, and then it's easier to keep it clear in your mind. So again, I'm just going to overlap these and do a gentle cut, and then I will piece these ones with 1/4 to a very fat 1/8 seam allowance. So if you turn these over, you'll see I've pressed this, and this is how the stitching looks. They do press very well, so don't be afraid of that either. So I'll just finish this up and I'll join you back here. You can add extra strips on if you want to make it a larger project. This is, or as individual blocks. These are going to be placemats, and I will end up with 2, which is kind of fun. So this is the top one, and this is the bottom one. So see, you can just see the gentle curves through both of them. If you wanted to, as I said, you could do straight cuts, but it's always fun to try different techniques because you never know which one you're going to really like in the end. So now we're going to stack them on top of each other, lining up one edge if you can, and you want to make sure that you have right sides both facing towards you. So you'll have the wrong side against the right side on the lower one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn the whole thing and picking the center. So this will eventually get trimmed off here, keeping that this is the shortest column for this one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, but because they're already stacked, we're just going to make 2 cuts. You want to make sure you're giving yourself about 2.5 to 3 inches in from each side. So in guesstimated thirds, and again, you're just going to do kind of a wonky cut. And I realized I put my blade in wrong, so that's why it's making a bit of a noise. I'll fix that. A sharper blade does help. So we move that aside. So see, that's how gentle I'm going. I'm not going too wild. And then I'll probably go the more like a hourglass look, going the other way. You can do one more cut if you wanted to, but the more you have, the more it's shrinking in, because we are losing 1/2 inch every time we make a seam. So this is how this will look. You could put another type of fabric in here if you wanted to, or you can simply just take the center one and swap it out. So when you join these together, these are not all going to match. Don't stress about it. It's still going to look amazing. So I'm just going to get these sewn together, and then I'll show you how we finish these up. So this is what they look like. If you remember, this was the first column in the very first picture that I showed you. So that's the first one. and this is the second one. So next what we want to do is just roughly square these up, and then using the same cutting technique, adding some strips on the side to give it a nice even border. I like to make placemats that are around 12 by 16 inches finished. And to give myself extra wiggle room, I'm going to make the borders around 2.5 inches. These are some of the fabrics I'm thinking about. You could do it scrappy if you want. So this is kind of a pattern chocolate brown, but I'm kind of liking the darker one better because it makes these pop. And I've got enough fabric to do this. These are all chunks that a friend gave to me, and then I've also got this, which is similar to this. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do that. And again, you don't need to layer both of them together because you're now just adding the borders on one at a time. And what you would do is take the strip of border fabric. So pretend this is it here. And again, you lay it over top. You do your wavy cut and then piece them together. And you do that on all four sides. So I'm just going to finish that up and then I'll show you what my final ones look like. So I'm just showing you on this one border edge how I did lay this over top and I did the cut, and that's how it looks like. So now I'll do right sides together and join that together. I'll do the other edge and then I'll do the two top and bottom, and then I can square it up, bind it, and it will be all done. Oh, can't forget the quilting either. Gotta remember that important step. So I've got the borders sewn on both of them, and I thought I'd just give you a quick glance at what they look like. Thinking I'm going to use a dark orange thread when I go to quilt them, and I'll run it right through the borders. So I'll do something that runs adjacent to the stitching lines, and then around here, and maybe do something fancier running out into the borders. So that's the first one. And this is the second one. So this has more of the darker burgundy look. It is still in the orange family. So I hope you like these. I will eventually get these quilted and reveal them in one of my future videos. If you have any questions, shoot me an email at sewwithdebee@gmail.com. And until next time, please sew safely and have a great day. Bye for now.